Hello NCDA members, and welcome to this video of 3 tips and techniques for building relationships with policymakers. From CDBG to home to transportation, housing, and urban development appropriations, what happens in DC doesn't stay there. You have an important role to play in letting policymakers know how their decisions directly impact people in the community. In this short video, we'll look at 3 strategies for promoting your development efforts in the local community, including understanding NCDA's work, putting together winning site visits, and connecting with legislators through social media. But first, let's look at a key question. Are you even allowed to talk with policymakers? The short answer is yes. Policymakers, whether at the federal, state, or local level, need to know what's happening in their districts. This is true even if you're not asking for something specific. Talking with them in this context is always allowed. Let's define 4 important terms, specifically education, public relations, advocacy, and lobbying. We throw these terms around a lot, often without thinking through what they mean. First, there's education. This is basically just letting legislators know what it is you do. Then there's public relations. This is about making them feel positive about what you do. Believe it or not, even when they know what it is you do, they don't always immediately feel positive about it. After that is advocacy. This is getting them engaged in some way, and it usually involves asking them a question. That question doesn't always have to be on a specific policy. You can make what I call relationship-building asks, such as, will you come and see our project in the district? More on that in a minute. Finally, there's lobbying. Lobbying is what the professionals do in DC. They keep track of the 10,000 bills that are introduced. Yes, I said 10,000, and find the ones that impact NCDA members. In your work with policymakers, you're focusing on education, public relations, and advocacy. All that said, be sure to be familiar with the letter and the spirit of your local laws on advocacy activity. But remember, no one can or should take away your right to advocate as a private citizen. So let's get started. Start at the NCDA website at www.ncdaonline.org to review the latest policy activities. You'll need to log in to do so. Here, you'll want to take a look at the latest Washington report, which provides details on what's happening in DC. You can also look through recent policy actions under the Policy tab. Once you've got a basic understanding of what's going on, you want to think about how that connects to some of your work in the district. This will impact the kinds of site visits and other activities you'll engage in. And speaking of site visits, let's take a minute to talk about how to put one together. Remember the adage, show, don't tell? Well, that's especially important when it comes to policy decisions in Washington, D.C. You can show them your work helping lower-income people in the community, the direct benefits federal funding provides to real live people, a grand opening, a groundbreaking, and, of course, some fun. There are a few steps to putting together an effective visit, including figuring out what you want to show. Be sure to consider how what you're showing to a policymaker connects to the issue you want them to think about. For example, if you are trying to make the case for why you need more funding for a program like CDBG, it's a good idea to show them the need, as well as how you have usefully and frugally spent money in the past. Then you want to decide who to invite. On the legislative side, your best bet is the elected official who represents that area. You can also invite representatives of regulatory agencies, although you might not want to invite both at the same time. And don't forget the staff. They love to see what's happening in the community as well. Sending an invitation. Always call the office to ask how they like to receive scheduling requests. It's usually by email. For any site visit, you'll need to think about just about everything, including transportation. How will the official get to and from the event? Time. How much time can the official commit to the event? Don't try to cram too much into a short visit. Make sure you hit the highlights. Food. If this visit is going to occur during a regular mealtime, you should consider setting up a discussion over an informal buffet or a box lunch. Weather. Obviously, you can't control the weather, but do come prepared for all possibilities. Make sure you have enough umbrellas, bug sprays, or whatever it is you'll need to make everyone comfortable. Making the case. Think carefully about who you want from your program to help you make the case. These might include real people who already benefit from your work, funders and supporters, or local business supporters. Following up. Be sure to capture the policymakers' questions and be prepared to answer them as soon as possible. And a thank you note never hurts. You can also consider some social media strategies to build those relationships with elected officials. First of all, like your legislators on Facebook. You don't have to actually like them. You can use this channel to gather information on their votes and policy interests, get updates on their visits to the district, comment positively on their work, and post information about your own events. Follow your legislators on Twitter and use it to get up-to-the-minute information on key votes and details on upcoming events. Also follow your legislators on YouTube. This will help you learn how they talk about issues as you watch their speeches while the Congress is in session, as well as to see what they look like in case you see them in the district. When you look at the comments on these feeds, you'll notice that not many people respond to legislators' posts, and those who do are sometimes cranky. Any positive comments will be noticed by the elected officials and their staff. Policymakers need to understand how the sometimes strange things they do in Washington, D.C. and in state capitals impact the people they represent. NCDA members are uniquely suited to deliver messages related to community and economic development, housing, and human services programs in the local community. Your voice is more important than ever, so speak up.